We're talking today to His Excellency Luis Guillermo Solis Rivera, the President of Costa Rica. Luis Guillermo, in his earlier life, had many roles. He was an ambassador, he was a member of the foreign ministry, and when he was a very young man, was a student in a seminar that I taught. So we know he's well prepared for the presidency. Your Excellency, good morning. It's a pleasure talking with you. How are you?
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Tolchin. I'm very happy to see you again.
Good.
And it is always great to partake with these issues.
Thank you. Good. I want to talk today about your experience at the recent Summit of the Americas. You've just returned from that. What is your impression, particularly, at least in the United States, the news where the visit between Mr. Raul Castro and President Obama? What is your impression of the summit and its effects?
Well, as you know, Joe, for several years now, I've been talking about something called new regionalism in the Americas. This means not only dealing with the traditional historical spaces that were framed within the logic of inter-American relations that had its most important organization in the OAS, the Organization of American States, but also new spaces for multilateral relations to develop. This includes not only the sub-regional structures in Central America, the Caribbean, the Andean region, the Southern Cone, but also new structures such as CELAC, the Latin American Caribbean Community of States, which in recent months was presided over by Costa Rica. And therefore, I would like to frame the Summit of the Americas as one of those so-called new regionalism spaces in which Latin American, Caribbean, North American policies and politicians meet to build up confidence and trust, to cooperate in new ways. And clearly, the Panama meeting was momentous, and it was also historical because of the fact that it was there that the United States and Cuba made visible for the first time in more than half a century, their willingness to normalize their relations. So that would be my balance. It's a very positive balance. I think there's no contradiction whatsoever between the OAS, the Summit of the Americas, the CELAC, and the sub-regional spaces. And in what refers to Costa Rica, we will continue to participate in all these initiatives, and we will continue to promote all of them.
Very good. So you see these as positive sort of associates in a new movement of regionalism in Latin America rather than as a conflict between Latin America and the United States.
Yes, I do think that they are complementary. They are very important because they join different kinds of actors. They turn Latin America into an important interlocutor to the international community. We can speak with not one voice, but in an articulated way. And this will happen in the next few months as we meet in the CELAC forum with the European Union, in the OAS forum through the agenda that the new Secretary General has. So there's no contradiction, complementary policies and actions, and a harmonized voice vis-a-vis the global world.
Excellent. You know, our friend Heraldo Munoz, who's the foreign minister in Chile, referred to it as an effort to create convergence within diversity. I thought that was an excellent phrase. Sounds as if you're as enthusiastic as our friend Munoz. Well, Mr. President, let's turn and talk a little bit about your work in Costa Rica. You've been president now for a little over a year, is that correct?
A little less than a year.
It will be
a year in 8th of May.
Okay. How do you see your program, your agenda for Costa Rica during the term of your presidency?
Well, I see it very, very positively as well. I have a 3-pillar plan dealing with the growth of the economy, that's one pillar, the combat against extreme poverty, that's the second pillar, and transparency and good governance as the third pillar. We have been elected with over 1,327,000 votes. This is the largest number of votes ever received by a president with a mandate of change. It took us at this first year a lot of effort to begin that process, which is going to last for 3 more years. Change is not something you accomplished in one act. It's a process. And I have vowed to continue that. The first year was basically devoted to pinpointing some of the malpractices and bureaucratic um, situations that were inhibiting the process of the decision making process. This second year will be devoted basically to making things work and show them. And particularly, this will be true in the areas of infrastructure, which had been delayed in Costa Rica for over four decades, and also in the fighting against poverty. We have a number of programs that took a year to be put in place. I'm very happy with those programs that are significantly different from the ones we had in the past. And in that logic, I hope that the second year will make us it will make change more obvious to the general public. But I'm very happy. I'm going through. I'm reviewing the accomplishments of the institutions. I have to deliver a speech on the State of the Union on the 1st of May, and I'm very satisfied with what I see.
Good. Listen, let's focus just for the last question, Mr. President, on the corruption issue. You know the newspaper headlines as well, or better than I. You're surrounded. Peña Nieto in Mexico, Gilma in Brazil, Bachelet in Chile. They're all being hampered or even paralyzed by corruption scandals. How is your program going to help you clean up government? Not that Costa Rica is particularly corrupt, but it's still suffers from that Latin American problem. How are you going to deal with that?
Well, basically through open government. We have a platform that is committed to making government more accessible to the citizen, to make transparency in everything we do, a norm, and also adopting new practices which are already being put in place. Open government is a concept that entails a significant number of changes and engagements, and we have done this. And I tell you, this is a significant policy of my government because we have been admitted as a candidate for the OCDE in Europe, and this means that we have to ensure that the way we govern represents the best practices of the world. So moving towards an open government, committing ourselves to publicizing everything we do through the internet, placing things in the web, etc., is only part of this effort, which also has an internal, very complicated task, which is to change the bureaucratic culture in many of our institutions.
Well, it sounds like a very bold and positive program. We'll do our part, you and I, by putting this video in a transparent manner on the internet so that everybody in Costa Rica and Europe can see it. That's World Review Info, and your program will be transparent to all of the viewers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tolchin.